G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today, well, something pretty exciting. We're going to be checking out the new Skyzone V3s, these FPV mammoths right here. These things have a massive field of view, and the reason I'm excited is because FPV goggles are one of those things you want to get right. There's so many players in the market, and I guess, you know, from expensive to cheap, getting the right goggles is absolutely essential. So I'm going to leave a playlist up here of all my FPV goggle reviews of every single one we've ever done, but today we're going to be checking out the new Skyzones. I'm pretty hyped because in the past Skyzone's done some really cool stuff, and we've got some top contenders at the moment. Like Skyzone's sort of up there, but I know a lot of people love FATSHARKs. I love the AOMWAY Commanders, and what we're going to do, let's stick these on the bench, give them a quick squiz, a quick overview, and then we'll take them out to the field, fly them around, show you guys some DVR, get you my impressions after wearing them for the whole day, hand them over to Grumpy Trev and Crash Test Cal. Alright, let's stick them on the bench and get started with this review. Alrighty, so here's the unit on the bench. Everything you get, well, I guess we've got the boring stuff here. The unit itself, let's quickly get this stuff out of the way. You get some extra foam pieces, some useless antennas because you're going to be swapping them out anyway. You actually get a nice case that fits it with the fan plate on there at the moment. You get a whole bunch of different cables for connecting it up to stuff, and it's worth noting too, you don't actually get a battery. In this one, you just get a little battery so you can connect up, I guess, any sort of LiPo to power your goggles and sit it in your pocket. So we'll throw that to the side. Let's zoom in and talk about the actual goods, the unit itself, and find out, you know, how many features is there in the Skyzone V3s. Now, for anybody new to the hobby, I guess the reason these are so expensive, well, I don't know the actual reason they're so expensive, but the reason these are so sought after is because these have some tiny little screens in here, and it makes a big difference to when you're flying with a big box, like some of those box goggles. Most of the pro pilots I know, and all the pilots that I fly around with, they may have tried some box goggles in the start, but this, I guess, dual screen goggle makes a huge difference. I know, at least for me in my flying, I can fly so much better when I've got an actual pair of dual screen goggles. Now, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to stick them on the scales, find out how much they weigh, because in my opinion, that's one of the most important things. How comfortable are they? So we're sticking it on here. This is without the battery, without antennas. It's coming in at 216 grams. And a bit of a comparison, we're going to put that over here. This is my AOMWAY Commanders, so they're coming in at 183 grams. So these are significantly heavier, I guess, when it's on your face all day than some of the others. Now, I know FATSHARKs are pretty heavy as well. The AOMWAYs, that's why I love them, because they were so light, and they actually even have that top strap, but we can talk about that a little bit as well. But yeah, overall, these goggles are a little bit heavier than something like the Commanders. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a link down below to go and read that about every single nitty-gritty specific, all that sort of stuff. If you want to know absolutely everything and how it works, I'll put some links down below. But let's go through some of the main features. So we'll talk about the screens in a little bit, but I guess on the buttons, a bit of an overview itself of what we've got. We've got, you know, HDMI in, which is fantastic. So if you want to hook this up to the sim, you can do that, which is cool. You can practice on the simulator, watch some movies or something like that. We've got an AV in and an AV out, which I think is really important. So if you want a ground station in and you also want to, I guess, record something when it's coming out, a lot of goggles don't do that. They just sort of have the one universal port. So like here, this has just got one AV in and AV out. I think Skyzone does it right by having the two different ports. Got a USB port here, right here. This is where you've got your little SD card, so that's where you can put it. It can take like 128 gig SD card, so that's a lot of DVR recordings, because this thing does record DVR. Over here we've got a head tracker. I don't know anybody in the drone racing scene that actually uses a head tracker. This is pretty cool. So I guess as well as a standard sort of FATSHARK style plug we've got right there, we have a power button, so you can press that to turn your goggles on and off. We've got a fan on the front, and the interesting thing, to turn the goggles on, you actually need to hold this power button, which I don't really like, and then you just press it to start the fan. And then on the top, you know, like our fan, we've got some diversity modules in here, and the reception is pretty good. I'll show you guys some DVR later. We actually have an LED in the front, which I guess is kind of cool if you're into that thing. It's not going to make a difference when you're flying around though. And we've got a little camera on the front, but in my opinion, you're just better off taking your goggles off and having a look with your real eyes. And then we've got all the different sort of ways to start your recordings, go through the menus, change your channels, your bands, all that sort of yada yada stuff, which is pretty standard nowadays. Now, I should say the menu in here, it was pretty straightforward. Some of these buttons can be a little bit confusing, and it does take a little bit of playing around to get used to. One feature I really did like out in the field is when you're scanning through, and I wish I could show you a picture of this, but it was just too hard in the field trying to record it and that sort of stuff, and getting the camera right in there. You can actually, I guess, check all the different channels and frequencies and all that sort of stuff in the scan scanning was really quick, and it showed you just how messy or clean, I guess, the RF noise was in the area. Now on the bottom, before we jump in and have a look at the screens, we've got, I guess, two little interpupillary, I guess, adapters right here. So mine, iPhone, I've got to have mine. I must have a bit of a wider eye stance. I've got to have mine right on the outside. So that part, I wish they'd just go just a little bit bigger for my sort of eyes. And then on the top, you've got this little strap, and that's where if you want to connect something like the AOMWAY Commanders, you can have a strap that goes across the whole way like that, so it can rest on the top of your head. Now, like I mentioned, and you'll see me mention this a little bit in the field review, you get some different pieces of foam, and that's, I guess, to make it adjust and fit your face a little bit better. One part I don't like about this though is I put this thicker one on to start with, and found out, just when I was sort of trialing it in the house, I found that I didn't like the thicker foam. So when I peeled it off, to try and get some better focus and put the thinner foam on, it's just sticky straight on the outside. It's not like the AOMWAYs where, you've got this sort of extra velcro-y part which makes it easy to remove and change the foam. Once you stick it on, then it's sort of useless. You can only really change it once. If I wanted to pull this off and put this one on, well, then that's it. You can only really put it on once because it's not that velcro part. It just sticks on with some like M3 sort of sticky pad. Now with those bits out of the way, let's talk about the goods. And for me, the goods in these, well, they're the screens. So of course, you've got your faceplate, which is meant to block out a little bit of light, but the screens in here, they're absolutely massive, like a 43-degree field of view. And trust me, when you put these on, it feels like you're in the cinema. The screen is absolutely huge and significantly bigger than something like the AOMWAY Commanders. And to anybody out there, I know people always rave on about screen size and how big it is and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, in my experience when I'm flying around, having the biggest screen is not always the best thing because it can be a little bit distracting and it takes a bit to get used to. I really like the field of view that I've got in my Commanders, but some people out there, maybe you're after like the HD V2s or those sorts of things, they prefer the bigger field of view. I find it easier to fly with a little bit more narrow, but it sort of depends what you're after. It is very, very immersive. It's in the 4:3 ratio, and that used to be a big deal for a lot of people, but I think nowadays more and more people are sort of adopting the 16:9, but you can't really change that. So look, that's something to note. I don't really mind what I fly with. I would be happy to fly with either, but I do feel like overall these things, they're massive and very, very immersive. Now it comes in two colors. You can get a white version, a black version. I'll link them down below, and I'm not sure which color I would get because the white version stops the sun, but how's it going? It stops it heating up, I should say, but might let a little bit of light through. And the black version probably blocks out the sun a bit more, but then again, it's going to heat up. So it sort of depends on where you're going to be flying, what sort of environment you're in. And then the only other thing before we take it out, rip it around in the field is, I guess we'll mention the quality and the price. So the quality, these units, they feel very, very nice. The finish is nice, the button is nice, the menu is nice, everything goes together. You can tell it's a really high-class product, but it would want to be because look, these are the most expensive goggles on the market at the moment. So significantly more than say the AOMWAYs, or these are probably the cheapest ones, even though I fly these ones all the time. Anyway, that's sort of the boring bench stuff out of the way, because really the important part for me is it might have all the features in the world, the screen might be the biggest, the best, whatever. What I want to do, I want to take it out, fly it around, and I want to give you guys some real pilot's impressions. So Crash Test Cal, Grumpy Trev, what do they think about the Skyzones? Because I know we all fly different. I fly Commanders, Cal flies FATSHARKs. Are these Skyzones going to be right? And I think that's the important part. So I'm going to leave, remember, go check that link out down below. That'll have all the nitty-gritty specs and all that sort of stuff. That's not what this review is about. I just want to tell you, what are they like on your face? How do they go when you're actually flying them? So let's jump out to the field and rip it around in 3, 2, 1. Rightio, out here in the field, about to check out the new Skyzones. I'm pretty excited. They've got an absolute mammoth field of view, but what we're going to do a little bit different, I'm going to show you guys some DVR, and then we're going to do some impressions at the end of the day. So it's like the morning right now, we're just about to start flying, but then we're going to cut back at the end. I'm going to fly with these things the whole day and see just how they go. All right, let's show you guys some DVR, then cut over to some impressions with myself, Crash Test Cal, and Grumpy Trev. All right, let's do it. Okie dokie, Stuart, what's going on? This is inside your house, and yes, you'd be correct because I had a whole, I guess, day of recording on the DVR. But one thing I don't like about the Skyzones, which I didn't know until I got home, was you have to press the button to stop the DVR. It's not like the FATSHARKs where you can just unplug it and it will still save the file. With the Skyzones, if you don't press stop on the DVR, it's not going to save it. So that part is a little bit frustrating because I had some other really cool flights that I wanted to show you. But this was, I thought, a quick little fix. I could fly around, and this is just inside my little house. So this is pretty much the extent of it. The tiny little 6, so like a little King Kong, pretty stable little whoop thing. I'll drop this up in the top right-hand corner if you want to go watch this video. But at least you guys get to see the DVR from the Skyzones and what it's like, even if it is a really, I guess, messy house that you're seeing me fly around. Now, probably the only thing that I'd want to mention in terms of the actual quality of the DVR, that sort of stuff, it didn't seem to drop many frames or anything like that, is the colors seem very, very bright. So a little bit hyper there, sort of washing things out. I did think the colors were very bright indeed. You can see just how messy everything is. Anyway, what we should do, let's jump on to the proper rest of the review when we're back out in the field. Sorry about that. But yeah, little tip, if you do get these, make sure you press that record button. Make sure you press it to stop it as well. Otherwise, you might have some lost DVR. Alrighty, Trev, here we go. You're about to try some new goggles. Now, traditionally, you don't like box goggles, so I'm pretty excited to see what you're going to think about these. But you fly around with the AOMWAYs, you're a big fan of those, and you have done the FATSHARKs. So this is Skyzone's new V3. Now, I've changed the antennas out because it doesn't come with antennas or a battery, but it's pretty much, if you're going to fly it, I think the configuration, you know, it's got the antennas, you use all that sort of stuff. So I guess any first impressions?
Well, they look quite nice. They look very well made. They're a nice white colour, so I don't know how that's going to go for light leakage, but we'll see how we go.
I think the white, it's a bit of a, you know, I think a problem with white is you get some light leakage, but it also makes it not so hot. So it's a black goggle that really soaks the sun up.
Yeah, but my Dominator's are white anyway, and that hasn't really affected me, so
yep.
Yeah, no, they look all right.
Alright.
Let's give them a go.
Let's put them on your buff head and see how they go. So I've already put it on your channel. Do you want the fan on?
Oh, shit, they're not very comfortable. Gee, well, where have they got to sit for me? That is really uncomfortable. Yeah, they're not comfortable. Like I've got to tilt these slightly. Like I'll probably need a bit thicker foam on there.
It does come with 2 bits of foam. I had the thinner part on because I found that better for my eyes. But yep.
Just needs to be tilted a bit more. Like, yeah, probably be right with a thicker foam. Don't seem to be in the middle. Doesn't seem to be focused very well. I'll give them a go, see how they go.
What do you think of this, before you take off, what do you think of the screen size?
The screen size is okay. The screen's no good if it's not comfortable. So.
Yep. Well, here's your radio. Is there any light leakage or anything like that?
Yeah, there's a fair bit in the sides because it's not fitting the face properly.
Yep. First
set of goggles I've put on that I cannot focus. The picture quality, for what I can see, the colours are nice. Screen's nice and big. It's definitely not comfortable. Nowhere near as comfortable as the AOMWAYs or the FATSHARKs.
What do they need to do to fix it up and make it a better goggle?
Oh, just the faceplate's just uncomfortable. Maybe, you know, if we had the bigger foam on there, it might make a difference. I haven't had a set of goggles, even the real cheap $100 ones were clearer than this. These seem to be really wide.
Maybe for people with a giant head.
Yeah, I think you know, someone with a real big buff head like yourself, they'd probably be okay.
You can actually see on here, like it's pressed up. I'm going to touch your face here. It's pretty pressed in here, but it's not really pressed on the outside. Very wide goggle. Alrighty, so.
Look, in fairness to these, I would really like to fly these with the thicker foam.
Yep.
That's probably the only thing, because I can't, the AOMWAYs as well, I have got the thicker foam on the, I don't know where they are, but it's probably twice the thickness of that. I reckon that'd fit my face a lot better.
The problem was, like, you know, in the FATSHARKs, you can pull the foam off pretty easy and switch it over. This one is just one sticky piece. So in order to pull it off, you can really only choose it once and then switch it once. So that part's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, that's a bit dumb then, that part. But look, picture's okay. I really like to try them with the thicker foam. They seem to be a bit overpriced for what they are. I'll be sticking to my AOMWAYs for sure. All
right, so give these a grumpy Trev rating out. How was the reception, by the way?
Oh, reception was fine. Look, they seem to work really well. Probably suits some people. They're probably up around about a 7. I don't think they're bad in any way, but just not comfortable enough for me. It's just that the foam may fix that. So, but other than that, they were all right. But value for money.
Yeah, because they're up there. I think they're like the 450, maybe even USC.
Yeah. I really think value for money. Probably about a 5.
Okay, no worries. All right, thanks, Trev. Radio Cal, so here it is. We're going to get your impressions of the new Skyzones, the V3. But before we try them on, what do you normally fly around with?
Dominator HD V2s.
These bad. And why did you pick those?
Because they have an extra wide field of view.
Yep. Do you remember the field of view?
Quality. I think it was 52 degrees.
Okay.
It might be 42.
Anyway.
Yep. But it's extra wide anyway, and they're great quality goggle.
I think it'll be interesting because these ones, they're 43. So I found the field of view very, very big, but I'm from AOMWAY, so someone who flies around with the HD V2s, it's going to be very interesting. Anyway, any, I guess, impressions, or what do you notice about them?
They look nice. They're made of good quality plastic. They've finally put a fan in, which I'm a big fan of.
Yep, nice pun there.
Yeah. Look, they feel nice. They're good quality. Let's see how they go.
Too easy. Alrighty, let's do it. So I think to search, oh, you got to press this button on the side. Sorry, man, too. You got to hold that in.
It's on and off button.
Yeah, but you got to hold it in for a little bit. Don't know. Have you got a picture?
Sure do.
You're doing the manual search. There is an auto as well, but we got some other pilots plugged in.
The OSD is kind of small.
Yep.
So unless you've got good eyes, you're going to have to strain a little bit to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do we turn those fans on?
It's just you actually press the power button once.
They feel a bit wider on the face. They don't seem to fit my face that well. I've got a sort of a skinny face, I guess.
Yep.
Now, it's a good sized picture. It's relatively clear. Let me just mess with the IPL adjusters. I'm not liking these as much as my FATSHARKs just yet.
Okay.
I don't like them as much as the Dominators, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Look, I haven't had a chance to mess around with all the fine settings and to see if I can fine tune this thing and get the contrast and brightness the way I like it. But that's primarily not my issue. The issue I'm having here is I'm having problems focusing, getting a good focus on these. And they're just not holding flat to my face in a way that's allowing me to get that focus.
Yep.
Now I've got light leak coming in from the sides because it's a sort of a wider faceplate than what I'm used to on the FATSHARKs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bit of a bummer.
How's the, I guess, the reception?
Reception seems to be quite decent. There's no real issue there. Mind you, I am running at 100 milliwatt at the moment and it's just doing fine. Colors, the clarity seem good, but for some reason I just can't focus on the picture as well as I can with my Dominators. And I wear reading glasses, and the Dominator HD V2s are perfect for me without any kind of internal lenses or anything. I can just put them on and they work.
Yep. That's not the case with these ones?
No, I feel like I might need to get some of those little lenses that slide on in the inside there just to get the perfect clarity that I'm seeking. Screen size is fantastic.
I don't know how you can fly. Take your hand off and your quad's still going. Anyway.
Yeah.
Do you just put that into like a, I guess, an upward hover and then change?
Yeah, I just try to level off and I'm right.
Oh, there we go. It's still going up there.
Screen size is a nice screen size. That's about the screen size that I like. Whether it's 42 or 50, I guess it's 42, isn't it?
Does it feel any smaller or bigger than the HD V2s or the same?
To be honest, it feels about the same.
Okay.
It's all a matter of getting used to it, I guess. But no, the screen size is fantastic. And the fans seem to be working pretty well. It's a pretty warm, humid day, so I found myself using my fans on my Dominators, and I'm using them on these and I'm not getting any fog whatsoever, which is great.
Are you going to be making the switch?
No. Yeah, no, I'll stick with the FATSHARKs for the time being. I do like the field of view and colour and the clarity, but there's just something off with this focus. I can still focus, but nowhere near as well. I thought they were going to be perfect because Skyview have been making goggles for as long as FATSHARK, more or less, and I just thought that they were going to come out with something pretty special. Not too bad, but I'm not sure if I'd pay 400 plus for them.
Okie dokie. Give us Cal's famous 4.
Oh, you're killing me, Stu.
Nah, come on, 4 words. Sum these up in 4 words, Cal.
Good, but not good enough.
Good, but not good. That's 5 words. Anyway, I'm going to let you finish that pack.
It might just be the faceplate, the way it's coupling to my face. That might be the issue, I'm not sure.
Rightio, so I've been flying these things all day and I'm going to give you my impressions after putting a lot of packs through them. I know we checked out Grumpy Trev and Crash Test Cal before, but overall, you know, when I've been flying for the whole day, I did feel them on my nose a little bit. They're not quite as comfortable, and like the others mentioned, you know, that foam pad might need to be a little bit thicker, I guess, for comfort. For me, the thicker pad made it actually harder to focus. Now I got a little bit of light leakage as well, so that part's a little bit annoying, and it's really a toss-up between, do you want, I guess, a dark color, a dark sort of plastic, because that means it's going to get really hot in the sun but block some light out, or the white version, which seems to be a little bit cooler because I didn't heat up too much, but it lets a little bit of light in. Now probably the big one for me is the screen. It was massive. It had a really big field of view, but I think that's, you know, it was clear in the center and some other parts, but it was blurry when you're trying to have to move your eyes around a little bit like that. And like Cal mentioned, you know, you couldn't get the whole thing in focus, which is a bit of a shame, because I want more goggle manufacturers in the market. I want more players out there making more goggles, and for the money, I don't think I'm going to be making the switch anytime soon. So yeah, overall, I'm still probably going to be sticking with my AOMWAY. It's definitely not a bad goggle, but I definitely think for the money, there might be some better options out there. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my review of Skyzone's new V3s, and overall, are they the goggle for me? I'm going to say no. You know, after doing that and flying them for the whole day, I did get a little bit more used to it, but overall, you know, I just didn't feel like I did when I was with my Commanders. And at the very end of the day, after you guys saw that little film bit at the end, what I did, I put my Commanders back on and I felt so much more at home with these. And look, it could just be because I'm used to them just a bit more, but it fitted my face better, it blocked out the light, and I actually preferred the smaller screens of the Commanders because everything was in like a really, really nice focus for me. Now, what I am going to say is, these goggle reviews are really hard because I know they're such a personal preference thing. A lot of people out there, they love the FATSHARK, Dominator V2s, the V3s, and they think I'm crazy for flying these Commanders. But look, the Commanders are my goggle of choice. I'll link these down below as well. But you know, I can understand why people like those other ones. These screens are very big. It's absolutely feature-packed, but it just didn't fit Cal, myself, or I guess Trevor's head. And I don't know, look, the thicker foam might help some of those people, and I found it a real big toss-up between the thicker foam makes it fit your face better, but makes the vision a little bit more blurry, where the flatter foam, I needed it closer to my face to focus on the image, but it let a little bit more light in. So maybe in the future, I think this is going to be an easy fix for Skyzone. They might just need to redesign the faceplate a little bit, because at the moment, it is very, very wide, so maybe if you've got a big Hodor head or something like that, you know, it might fit a little bit better. But for me, and I thought I had a bit of a buff head, but for me, this one, there's just a little bit too, it just doesn't fit and wrap around enough. So, anyway, drop your comments down below. What do you guys think about the Skyzone? I really like Skyzone as a company. I think they make some really, really top-notch stuff. Everything in here is quality, but if I can't focus on it, you know, it doesn't matter how big the screen is, how bright the screen is, how many features that it has. If I can't focus on it and I guess it doesn't fit correctly, even though reception was great, it's not going to be the goggle for me. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Subscribe for more FPV related content. Go and check out our Discord server below because it's growing every single day. And you know, I know Trevor and myself, we're jumping on there meeting so many pilots. It's a great place to get help and just share things and all the love about FPV. So definitely go and check that out. And as always, happy flying. Also too, if you've had some experience with these new Skyzones, let me know, because look, just because they weren't right for me, I don't want to discard them and say, look, they're a bad goggle or anything like that, because they're not. They just didn't fit my face and I found it hard to focus. But it might be different, it might be correct for some other people out there. So if you do get a chance, go and try some of these on. Anyway, happy flying. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.